Now the true question, and frankly quite scary question, oh sugar, wrong video. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about what the hell we're going to do with petrol and diesel cars being banned. First of all, this video took time, it took effort, it took research. So smash that like button. It really helps me, it helps the YouTube algorithm, and I want to make more videos, and that's going to help. For any of you that haven't already heard, Boris announced on the 18th of November that petrol and diesel cars will be banned from the year 2030. Now hybrid cars will be 2035 and diesel lorries will be phased out, but at a slower rate, because as you can imagine there's a hell of a lot of them trying to move goods around, so it's going to be a bit slower process for that. So why is this? Well, this is down to climate change, trying to get the UK to a zero carbon footprint as quickly as possible. Now, before everyone goes to panic stations, there is no definite that this is going to happen on the year of 2030. This could very easily be pushed back to a later year, as often happens with these big projects. Now, let's say, at worst, it does happen in the year 2030. Well, even then, they specifically said no sale of new petrol and diesel cars. That doesn't mean you can't carry on buying and using second-hand petrol and diesel cars. Now, as we already know, there are petrol and diesel cars out there that are, what, 20? So obviously the phone fell off the mirror and I'm having to do the video again. I didn't realise it wasn't recording, so I recorded the whole video once, but we'll do it again. What the hell? So as I said before, petrol and diesel cars, some of them are out there that are over 20 years old, 20, 30 years. So all the government has stated is, in the year 2030, there is no new petrol diesel cars that can be sold. That doesn't mean you can't carry on using the petrol and diesel cars that are already out there and buying and selling those as much as you want. As I said, 20 to 30 years, crikey, that's a long time. That's going to be the year 2060, 2070 before, it's just electric cars on the road. Now let's talk about price of electric compared to petrol diesel. So the cheapest I could find for an electric car out there at the moment, for a basic electric car, average price 30k. I know I myself haven't got 30k to splash out on a new electric car. Let's compare that 30k to a petrol or diesel car. Let's say a brand new BMW or Audi or Range Rover, 30k. You could get quite a high spec car for that, or quite a nice car for that. Which would I choose at the moment? Well, I couldn't afford either, so I'm not going to worry about it. Now on top of this, in my opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's your choice, that's completely fine. I can take criticism. I don't think our country's quite ready for a fully electric car system. Okay, by the year 2030, hopefully we will be. But at the moment, I definitely wouldn't be rushing out there to get an electric car. Apart from the cost, if you pop into Tesco or you're going for a bit of shopping in town, perfect, why not? If you're commuting down to London or Cornwall every day, or your job requires you to drive around like a salesperson from business to business, an electric car just isn't going to cover this. There's also not enough electric stations around to charge these cars yet. Another thing, a business such as mine, where I actually do drive around all day meeting people, giving people driving lessons, I haven't got time to sit in Tesco car park charging my car for an hour between lessons. So in summary, I personally wouldn't be in a big rush to get out there now and get an electric car unless you have 30k to splash out. I know I haven't. I wouldn't also start panicking about your petrol or diesel. The time to really start thinking is when you start seeing things like ambulances, taxis, all those sort of road vehicles that we see, police cars, when they all start going electric. That's your true sign that times are changing and it's time to start thinking about getting on that electric bandwagon. I also change my car approximately every 2 years as a driving instructor. Now, with 10 years to go, that means I've got at least 5 changes minimum of car before I need to start worrying about electric. That's a long time. Now, I don't know if you've got the gist yet, but I'm generally saying stay petrol and diesel. Don't worry about electric cars too much yet unless you have the cash to splash. That being said, however, now the big question is, do we go automatic or do we stay manual? Now, I'll be honest, people that go automatic tend to require a few less lessons because you don't need to learn the gears. That being said, lessons do cost more, so this can be anything from £5 up to £15 more per hour. Now, does that really matter? Not really in the grand scheme of things, because at the end of the day, these are your wings. The question is, are you going to clip your wings by going automatic? What do I mean by this? Well, I do teach manual currently at the moment myself, so you might be thinking, oh, he's being a bit biased here. So I'm going to give you an example. I recently had someone in the last year come and have lessons with me. So they get into the car and they inform me they've already passed that test doing... So they get into the car and they inform me they've already passed their driving test with an automatic license. I was like, blew my mind. What are you doing here? Well, they informed me they'd been accepted for a position into the ambulance service. Yes! Unfortunately, they needed a manual license even to just be in there. So lo and behold, the poor sod had to do the whole driving test again in order to get into their dream position, which was driving an ambulance. The good news is, however, they didn't require a huge amount of lessons. They did the test really quickly and they passed first time. Well done. So all I'm saying, guys, is if you ever plan to work in the public sector services, or maybe if you don't plan, maybe you just fall into it. But maybe you want to drive an ambulance, maybe you want to drive a bus, maybe you want to drive a taxi, any travel service of any form, a lorry driver or any company that requires a company car or anything else. 9 times out of 10, you are not going to get an automatic and you are going to be required to be able to drive a manual. Now, I imagine this will begin to change over the next 10 years and probably pretty quick, but we're just not quite there yet. So if you want my advice, stick with manual. Now, the true question, and frankly quite scary question, how are they going to tax us on electric cars? For any of you out there that don't already know, currently our cars are taxed on petrol and diesel. The fuel that we collect at a petrol station, fuel station, is taxed quite heavily by the government per litre. So every time you fill a car up, quite a lot of this money will go to the government. And this is to repair our roads, build new roads, that sort of thing. How much of it actually gets there, I don't know. I'd love to actually see something to see where this money goes. Now, this is a good thing because we need roads. If you hate bumps as much as I do and holes in the road, I've popped a couple of tyres now going over through those potholes. It's a nightmare. So this tax money is really important. Now, a year ago, an article from the IFS suggested that we are going to lose a revenue in tax of £28 billion for the conversion of cars going to electric from petrol and diesel. Where the hell are we going to get £28 billion of the government? Well, I've got a few options for you, and they're not all pretty. Option 1. Now, an article from The Guardian, again a year ago, suggests an option of being charged per road used. So basically road usage. So you're metered in your car per mile that you travel, and you're charged in that way. Now, with that would mean all cars would have to have technology that means the government and whatever companies want to are able to access and see exactly where you are and what you're doing at all times. Now, I don't know about you, but I personally really don't fancy this idea. Sounds a bit like a water meter and they suck as well. Now on to option 2. Now, this has recently happened in California. Basically, all the car charging stations, they've increased the tariff to recharge your vehicle to try and balance out the loss of revenue from petrol and fuel. Now, let me be clear, guys. One way or another, we are going to need to get that tax together to carry on paying for the roads because the government can't just pull it out of thin air. Now, with this system, all charging stations that are used for charging cars could be on a smart meter system, which basically counts how much electric we are using in kilowatts or watts to charge a vehicle. We could then be charged at a specific car charging tariff that goes directly to the government, or we could top it up on a regular basis, almost just like filling up your car. This way, the government gets their tax, we get on your nice new roads and updated roads, everyone's a winner. If you guys have got any other options out there that I've missed, I would love to hear them. Pop it in the comment below. If you haven't subscribed and liked, get it done now if you found this video interesting or helpful in any way. It really helps me and you'll stay up to date for the latest news that I'm going to bring you. Any comments I will reply within a week, so get them in there. Thank you for watching. This is Joshy Boy out.